Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and just spreading positivity. We're all about the positive vibes here on the show. And I've got a very special guest with me today. He is an independent professional wrestler based out of Florida, from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm pleased to welcome the one and only Jayden Steele. Welcome, Jayden, to Wrestling with Heart.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yes, pleasure's mine. So tell me about your upbringing and childhood. Where are you from?
So, I was born in Missouri, St. Louis. It was definitely a different upbringing, probably from what you're going to hear on 99% of the people you have on here. I'm a second generation wrestler. My dad broke into the 80s. Randy Savage trained him. He got his start in Memphis with like Lawler and the Jarretts. Got the big name of Savage's boy, because everywhere Savage went, he went. So throughout the years, bumping and banging and going all the way up and down the roads. 91 hits, here I come. A few years later, now I'm a little toddler, man, and getting to see my dad at this point in time. He was taking me to these WWF locker rooms. Hell, he even took me to WCW at one point. And just having these larger than life figures that like you or me know, as far as seeing it on TV goes, they were my babysitters, like I had Sergeant Slaughter in the back just playing with me and like nicknamed me Jumping Jordan at one point. Mick Foley was another great one. I went to school with his son Dewey in Gulf Breeze, Florida, actually, because that was the other half of me, was Missouri and Florida. So, but my dad moving all over the place, I had to move all over the place. I didn't get to stay in one school. Come down to Florida and did like half my schooling. Missouri was the other half. Got good friends with Dewey. Like that was back when Mick Foley won the WWF championship, and he brought it to our high school cafeteria the next day. It was pretty epic, man. I never really had a.
That's amazing. I mean, you basically grew up in the business.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And all.
So cool. I mean, that was when Foley won the belt, that was around the time Shivani on Nitro was basically plugging what was happening on Raw.
Right.
That night. Okay. Wow. So was there a particular point where you knew you wanted to do this, or did your dad just kind of say, let's get you going?
So my dad never really approached me with the whole, "Hey son, I want you to be a wrestler." Like I have a younger sister, and she really didn't get into wrestling. Period. It was always like me sitting in front of the TV on the floor, my dad sitting in his like recliner and always watching like every single episode of like Raw or SmackDown or whatever it was at that point in time. After like being a little kid, man, and being babysit by like all of these like guys that are now like Hall of Famers, it never really clicks because you're so young. You're just like, okay, this is what I'm around.
Taking it all in.
Yeah, and like it just becomes a normal life for me. And then I loved wrestling, but my heart was in motocross. Like he bought me a motocross bike when I was like 10, 11, and I ended up like on my wall behind me right here. I got my amateur national qualifiers for Loretta Lynn, Ponca, and all that good stuff. Like I was really, really good. And really wasn't until about 2012, 2013 till I decided, like I really want to wrestle. I want to carry the family's legacy because my sister showed no interest in it. I always had a heart in wrestling. Always was around it. Always wanted to go to the venues. Always wanted to see the shows. Always heard the crazy stories that I didn't remember as a little kid when he took me to these like locker rooms when I was being babysat. Because I only have like a handful of the memories of like when I was out there and actually being able to see like Hulk Hogan and like Slaughter and some of them that are dead to this day that I don't really have very much like memory left because I guess I took too many bumps or chair shots to the head. But like it all adds up, and like it's a very humbling experience with it. But it wasn't until about 2012 or 2013 till I decided like, hey, I need to figure this out. Like I want to do this. Like I love motocross. Like it's paying off at this time. I'm making money doing like pro money class or A class back in the days, what they called it. And then he was like, go get yourself a ring, truck, and trailer. I'll train you. And then I was like, all right, say enough. Like say less. So a little bit more time comes down the road. Now we're looking at around the 2013-ish area. And I get trained. He trains me every day, nonstop. I learned the business and I'm ready for my first match in 2.5 months, which is
Oh.
crazy fast. Crazy fast. Like the average for people is 6 months to a year. I learned it in 2.5 months. And I thought there was something wrong with me because like hearing everybody else like, oh, 6 months or a year, da 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 da. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm only did 2.5 and I'm ready. I was like, did I pick this up that quickly, or is there something somebody's not telling me? So after my old man trains me, I seek more training. It was Rocky Johnson in Steele, Missouri. Met him at a cell barn. Good friends with my dad. So this old man, like, walks up to the cell barn. He pulls up in his Escalade. Me and my old man are sitting out front. My old man's smoking a cigarette. And then when he pulls in, he's like, oh, look, it's the pimp of the cell barn. And like, we're joking, you know what I mean? Like, just ribbing it. And then sure enough, Rocky gets out and he goes, I think that's Rocky Johnson. And I'm like, no, it ain't. No, it ain't. Lying. No, it ain't. And then he's like, yeah, that's Rocky Johnson. I was like, oh, yeah, well, then go up there and say hi to your friend then if that's Rocky Johnson. And like, at this point, I don't believe him. I'm just being, a brat. And sure enough, he walks up there, and next thing you know, I see Rocky, my old man, embrace and a hug. And I'm like, I'll be damned if he's telling the truth. And then he walks up and he introduces me to Rocky for the first time. Rocky glances me with that like little cold stare, like up and down for a minute when he approaches him with the whole training and all of that, lets him know like what he's done with me and all of this. And then here we go, about 30 minutes in a conversation, and about $4,500 later, I'm going to Rocky Johnson's farm or his ranch, and I'm going into his barn, and then here we go, like training and doing promos and everything else on top of that. So I never stopped training because I feel like in this business, you never learn enough, and you will learn all the way until the day you get out or you die. So then I had Rocky Johnson and my dad, Tony Parks. I had them on my resume. And then that's my first year mark. I jump in. I'm in Florida at this time, so I jump into APW, XW 2000, SCW, and started like hopping into these like little indie promotions, and off to the races from there.
Yeah, definitely a rising star. And Rocky Johnson was just one of the most talented professional wrestlers to come out of the territory days. Really made a name for himself in the early stages of the WWE as one half of the tag team champions. And of course, his son, one of the most, literally, seriously, the most electrifying man in all of entertainment. I mean, The Rock, one of the most iconic figures in pop culture, and it's amazing how well he's done. And the fact that Rocky Johnson literally paved the way for his son, and just like your dad, along with Rocky, paved the way for you to become the star that you are. It's so cool, so fascinating.
Another part of is fascinating to me is like if anybody knows Rocky Johnson's history as far as training goes, um, I'm one of the very few Samoans that Rocky trained, like that wasn't Samoan. So
Mm,
being able to like have that on my background and how much that he emphasized on the entertainment aspect, as you just said, anybody who watches my film or my work, whether I'm a good guy or a bad guy, um, I stress the entertainment aspect of it like very, very hardcore. So like in my matches, you'll see like I'm all about the entertainment. I'm all about giving the value to your dollar because like without the fans, like they're the ones that pay to like see it. They're the ones that like keep us alive. They're the reason why we get to do what we do. And that's why
exactly. Yeah.
times, like putting a red light in my face. Cut this promo. This is the angle that I want. Like, he just sat there over and over. I don't know how many times I had to sit there in that barn for hours at a time and like, go over and rehearse, go over and rehearse, and that's one thing that I bring to the ring that I'm very like confident and proud of is my entertainment aspect in this business.
Definitely a key factor in making what makes a professional wrestling star is that entertainment factor, because you want the crowd involvement, you want the participation. It was definitely hard during the pandemic because you didn't have live shows. But now, since everything's back, to normal, it's important to have that fan interaction, because if you're booing or cheering, the reaction's what matters, and the timing too. The pacing and making sure you get what you need to get done in a certain amount of time. It's very important.
The pandemic that you brought up was a really good point because in my career, as you can tell, like 2013, 2014, we're only a few years out from the pandemic happening. So as my career starts to snowball in a good way, year and a half, I'm already doing extra talent for WWE. So like at this point, my first WWE run for extra talent was a two-shot for Memphis, Tennessee at the FedEx Forum, going straight to Birmingham the next day for SmackDown. So I got my first taste of like what the big boys are without being babysat from my old man as a little toddler in the locker room to like seeing it unfold as a.
You were on
So
your own.
yeah, yeah, and like all in all aspects. So being able to see Michael Hayes for the first time, like as an adult without my old man, and like being able to like walk up and like conversate with him for the first time since I was little, that was a very fun, unique experience. Unfortunately, my old man carried a reputation back in the day because of Randy Savage, like instilled in him in his training. You don't ever let nobody punk you out in the locker room and to your face. Like if they say it behind your back, that's one thing. Don't ever let nobody do this to you in front of your face or you settle it like a man. Well, my old man grabbed onto that and got into so many fights in his day that he kind of had that reputation as like,
Mhm.
you stuff, he's gonna like finish it or you're gonna get into it. So that honestly like carried over and projected into my career. So like first day at Raw as an extra talent, and then I'm talking to Michael Hayes, and he brings up the incident where my old man beat up the heavyweight champion at the Sportatorium at that time, which was Devon Eric. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And he's laughing about it, and then
Yeah.
like shared a couple of stories about Gino Hernandez and my old man getting into it, and I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna sit here and think that I'm just this like bad kid that just wants to just start smack with everybody, and I'm just like, no. But the old guys, man, in old school formality, they keep it real. Like they got some moments where they might scare you, but at the end of the day, man, you treat them with respect, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you nervous at all doing that extra work, going to shows? Because I mean, that WWE, I mean, that's the big time.
So as far as nerves go, I'm one of those guys, man, that excel. So like when you put me in the heat of the moment, I'm gonna be nervous. I'm gonna hit all the points for you. And then it's like as soon as like you leave the curtain, it's like, game on. It's time to do work. So like putting me in the situations where I have to either sink or swim, I feel like makes me very, very more capable and a hell of a lot more stronger of an athlete because I like to be like on the heater at all times. I'm a leader. I've never been a follower in my life. So like the first time I did the extra talent, I actually got used. So like it wasn't like a lot of the guys where you just go there, you catch a payday, you eat some catering, watch the show, move on to the next one. So like they actually put me in Raw on Memphis at the round table in the back with the Singh brothers getting thrown by Braun Strowman, and it's on live TV where you see me holding the Singh brother over there off the table, and like Braun Strowman's just staring me down in my like white black long sleeve, and it's like, okay, here's the first like change of reality for me. I got TV time. I got to see what it was about. I got to see how they produced the show, and from that point, it was like, okay, this ain't bad, but I haven't got into the ring yet. So we go over to SmackDown in Birmingham, Alabama, and one of the one of the most, like, I guess you could say embarrassing, but it was kind of funny to like and like enjoyable. But I guess you could see it embarrassing. Was doing the Congo line for No Way Jose.
Oh
That
yeah.
that was my second job. So here I am. They bring us over to here to this little platform that has all these gimmicks on the table, all these goofy things to wear, and they're like, just go out there, have fun, and just be silly with it. So like I got this like ridiculous outfit on and I'm going into the Congo line, like, no way, Jose, yeah. And that was when the nerves kicked, man, like for like the WWE stuff, because it was like going out there in front of like 16,000 people strong. It was like, okay, these reactions, like you're sharing it with him, because like when he comes out to his, he's gonna get the ovation that he's earned and deserved for the promotion at that time. So like me, anybody else, like when you watch it from TV, and from that aspect, you're like, okay, he's not getting huge pops, but when you're there live and like coming out and like you hear the pops, and then it's like, da 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 da, you got to hit all the marks, because
Mm-hmm.
at that point, you can't step out of line. And then there was like this little ordeal where the Congo line gets involved, and the guy comes over the top, takes a dive, you catch him, you fall over, da da da. So
Right.
like all that part, no problem. It was when I did a Saturday night main event and I worked him for the very first time to like put him over. That right there was the pivotal point as far as like getting my taste of thousands of people on TV live. Don't miss a step. Put this guy over. Make sure he looks good. Follow your directions. Like you want to be used again. You want to keep on coming, keep on coming, keep on coming. So that right there, walking through the curtain, was the true butterflies, because I got it in the Congo line, but it wasn't nothing like walking down there getting ready to actually do something physical with somebody that's like
Mm-hmm.
been on TV and has established their name. So like getting in there to like do that was kind of mesmerizing, walking to the ring. But when the bell rings, man, it's like all business, and you forget like all the nerves and the butterflies, and like you just dial in on what you're truly there for.
Exactly. So it's experience. It's
Right.
experience. And so you had a taste of that mainstream big time television, and you're not, you're working in front of 100,000 people, and the sky's the limit for you. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, I definitely see myself going and doing like big indie promotions, and definitely gonna put my foot in the door for one of these TV programs, because like now the COVID slowed me down, because when I was doing all of this extra talent work for them, like years are going by, you know what I'm saying? COVID hits. They're not using extra talent no more. You seen the way they did it. They just put it in the performance center and they ran
Hmm.
the all that. That put me out of the job. Like I went from indie circuit my first year and a half to where I was collecting paychecks where I was doing this full time. Like when you have over 12 extra talent appearances for WWE, I got used in like quite a handful of them. But there's going to be more misses than hits as far as the extra talent department goes.
Hmm.
There's nice, like as you're going through all of this. So, I'm stacking and saving. And then just like that, pandemic hits, boom, it's just like, okay, well, now my high paying job's gone. So like now I go dabble into security. I go end up working for that, and then doing like, like independent shows on the weekends when I can. I'm flying through the ranks in security. I go from a gate officer all the way up to a captain. Started getting paid nice in it. Um, was doing was actually doing like what did you call it, benefits or charity work, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
um I was going to what's a famous hospital up here where I'm at is Sacred Heart Hospital. I was going in there when I was running around as like like independent champion for like certain promotions, XW 2000 at the time. I'll name drop that one. When I was XW 2000 heavyweight champion, I was going up to Sacred Heart with the belt, dressed in my little gimmick. My YouTube channel has like a lot of it on there, and interacting with like the sick children who didn't get to have the life that like me or you get to grow up to adore and enjoy. And just it touches my heart being able to perform not only in an entertainment aspect, but like being able to put smiles on children's faces, or that grown ass man sitting over there that his wife drug him to the show because he doesn't want no part of it, and getting him to crack a smile for the first time. That's what it's about for me, is like getting the reactions and like having them people like come up to me after the show and like give me my props and like, hey, you were great, da da da, you should be here, you should be there. It's not where I should be. It's that I execute my job professionally enough for you to enjoy it. Because it doesn't matter if I have 100,000 people or one person. If I make you enjoy the craft, the sport, my work, like that's what I'm in it for. Like the money's great, and trust me, I'm hungry. I'd love to make a living doing it full time. But like curveballs in this business get thrown at you, and I'm gonna be me regardless, and nobody will ever understand the way Jayden Steele's mind works because you'll see me on camera as one guy, and then outside of the ring, I'm a whole different person.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there a particular moment at the hospital that just touched your heart whenever you were visiting a patient?
Now, all of the patients that I visited, I probably have a few hundred sick kids underneath my belt as far as doing the charity work over there for Sacred Heart. But his name was Connor. He was only about, I would say, 6 or 7. He didn't have very long. And what's sad about it is, like when you're going in here and like you're talking to some of these kids, some of the nurses and all that, they'll give you the backstory on them and all of that. And I didn't get a backstory to this kid when I walked in there, and his family was there, and here they are, like me doing this work. The nurse asked them would they like a professional wrestler to come in and talk to their son. They don't know, they didn't even know I was coming, man.
Hmm.
They said yes, and I walk in there. So like you can already tell, like it's probably awkward or uncomfortable for everybody at that point because nobody's touched ground with each other yet. And sitting down for like those 30 minutes and like talking to him and his family, getting to know them, and then putting smiles on his face, and then like even his family got like really comfortable with me, and like we just started talking, like we never skipped a beat, like we knew each other for a while. And then after having like a great 30 minutes with their son and like having him like play with the title, smiling and just talking about his favorite wrestlers, and just like how kids do, like they melt your heart. um his mom was out there in the hallway when I was walking out, and she stopped me, and she was like, I just wanted to thank you because nobody has ever came up here and took the time out of their day to come see my son and just interact and invest time with him like the way that you have. And she gave me an embracing hug, and it was like, I almost want to like go into tears at this point, and it's I'm holding him back because it's like we're having a heartfelt moment.
Hmm.
Breaks it down with like how long that he has, and unfortunately he didn't have very much more time, so I only got to see him probably 2 more times after that, and unfortunately he passed away. And I always carry like Connor in my heart, and like I always think about him. And then the irony of it is, like years later, I go wrestle in the Dothan, Alabama area, and I meet another little kid named Connor that becomes like a huge Jayden Steele fan, and it's like I don't know, the word Connor just follows me, but like I. 3 of my biggest supporters come with the name Connor, and like like I'll always hold it right here, man, because it's dear to me. But that name just it's special to me.
Oh man, that's just very touching, the fact that you were able to do that for someone else. Why do you feel passionate about helping out in your community?
I just feel like the giving a gift of professional wrestling, and like this is going to be an answer that's going to be answered differently from everybody that you ask outside of me. My legacy is very important to me. My family crest is very important to me, and everything that Rocky Johnson and my old man have taught me throughout my training years, and even to this day, me asking my old man about stuff, that was one of the focal points that they like throw in there to do. And it's I got the gift of professional wrestling. Nobody else can provide that for me. That's the most passionate thing in this world that I'm passionate about. So, getting this gift given to me, what can I do to give back to my community to thank them for the opportunities that they give me to perform and be able to get to do what I love to do? And whether it was going to these mom and pop businesses, cutting a promo for them, just showing up my face and just being like, yo, Jayden Steele's here, da 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 da. These are some good people. Or just going to hospitals and visiting sick kids just to make sure, like, like if they can have one shitty day, then I want to be that one that gives them that great positive day. Like a great positive will outweigh a lot of negatives. And just putting in all of that work and just being around that environment, it's who I am. Like, it's what I love to do. So like, I'm not going to go to the parties. I'm not going to go to the clubs. I'd rather go to that hospital and make that kid's day. I'd rather, interact with him and figure out, why do you love wrestling? Like, why are you attached to this? Like, what makes you fall in love with this? What are you passionate about? And just sharing the love of passion of wrestling with each other.
That's what it's about, man, from generation to generation. Jayden, I want to say thank you very much for coming on here. It means a lot to me and to the listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find more about you on social media? Do you have anything you want to promote?
Yeah, man. I got forced to do the Instagram, so like it's a little bit low because like I got rid of that a long time ago. But TikTok, it's Heel Flippy, HeelFlippy. Facebook, you can catch my business page at Real Deal Jayden Steele, Jayden Steele with an extra E, or Jay Williams on Facebook if you want to catch the private profile. But like I said, it's private, so don't shoot the messenger if I don't accept it. My Instagram is Real Jayden Steele. The YouTube is Jayden Steele. So if y'all want to catch any of these moments from my first ride along to WWE, or catching my first clip in WWE, or even some of the interactions that I've had at Sacred Heart Hospital with some of these guys, it's all on there, man.
Awesome. Well, Jayden, thanks again, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Yeah, man, you got to get me on here so we can talk a little bit more about the career at some time.
Definitely. We'll make it happen. Thanks again.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
All right, take care.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.